Mario Kart World has already almost been out for 3 months, which is insane to think about. And as we all know, this game has gotten a little bit of backlash, from the online to even the track selection. But if you've even seen the thumbnail, you'd know that we're going to be talking about the track selection today. But as we all know, starting with Mario Kart DS, every Mario Kart game had 32 tracks to start with. But this game only has 30 because there is 2 remixes of tracks, one being a pretty decent one, Crown City, and the other being Peach Stadium, which is literally shaped like a paper clip. And I mean, heck, these are both in the same cup, being the Shell Cup, which easily makes it the worst cup. But with that all said, I came up with 5 other tracks that could replace these 2 remakes. They could be in random spots of the world of Mario Kart World, in the cliffs, or even underwater, which I know Nintendo didn't add. But now I think we should talk about these tracks, so sit back, relax, and I'm gonna talk about 5 tracks that should have been in Mario Kart World. The first one we're going to talk about is Maple Treeway, and I think it's pretty obvious we know where it's gonna go. It's gonna go right next to Cheep Cheep Falls in the Autumn Japanese area. Because as we all know, Maple Treeway is one of, if not the most famous Autumn track in Mario Kart history. I also know that the Autumn spot is pretty small in Mario Kart World, and I think Nintendo should have expanded it because I thought it was one of the coolest parts of Mario Kart World. And it was honestly so visually stunning, and I think they could have just added another track and it would have been so perfect. And it obviously should have been Maple Treeway. This track would have been so fun in free roam, just going up the giant tree that's in it, basically Acorn Heights, but not really at the same time. And the shortcuts would have been insane. DK Pass has a little tree skip, but Maple Treeway would do that 10 times better. It would also be really cool to get a little more Wiggler representation because he's literally only in the Acorn Heights area. And just like the cows and the Cataquacks, Wiggler is one of the most iconic obstacles in Mario Kart history. But overall, with that all said, Maple Treeway is a great representation of Autumn in Mario Kart, and I think Nintendo could have expanded the Autumn area in Mario Kart World. Because like I said before, the Autumn part is one of the coolest looking spots in Mario Kart World, and they could have expanded it perfectly with Maple Treeway. Next up, we got Pirahna Plant Cove. Now the first thing that's probably coming to your head is, Nintendo, that track is mostly underwater. How are they gonna put it in this game? First off, Nintendo should have added underwater in Mario Kart World. I will say that as much as I need to, and I have a solution for this. Because if we look at Pirahna Plant Cove as a track, the underwater parts are actually not even that deep underwater. And there are actually some ruins above water, so we know where Pirahna Plant Cove is in free roam. Which leads me to how we get there. Nintendo could actually use one of those giant whirlpools that they have across all the oceans in Mario Kart World to lead us to the track. Like, the intermission potential is absolutely out of this world. Because it kind of be like Great Question Block Ruins, but instead of shooting straight up, you'd actually go straight down, which would be awesome. Also, imagine racing on this track and seeing all the underwater Mario enemies just swimming around you. From Unagis, those giant eels, to bloopers and Cheep Cheeps, there are so many Mario underwater enemies that we could just see around the whole track. But now I gotta stop yapping. I could talk all day about this track, and that's why I think it should be in this game, because I feel like Mario Kart World would have been perfect with underwater. And that is exactly why I put Pirahna Plant Cove as part of these 5 tracks. But before we get to the last 3 tracks, I just want to say thank you for 1,200 subscribers. My next sub goal is 10,000 subscribers, and you can help me by getting to 1,500 subscribers. So subscribe, and let's get right back into the video. Now I think we gotta talk about the track that should have for sure been in this game day 1, and that is Coconut Mall. And once again, I think it's pretty easy to place in the world. It should go right next to Crown City, especially since it is a giant building. Also, I'm pretty sure we all know it would have been so fun to go around the mall in free roam. Like in the giant food court section, there would be a bunch of Yoshis selling different foods across the world, and there's like 5 of them there. We could also explore the malls that were always closed off in each each of the games it was in, except for the one you could use for a shortcut. Like, how awesome would it be if we saw NPCs actually shopping in the mall? That would be insane. It would also be cool to see the different entrances you could take while driving an intermission track, like starting from the top of the roof or even going through a whole window. And like I said before, Coconut Mall would have been awesome for free roam and everyone would have loved it. So that is why Coconut Mall has to go in my top 5 tracks that should have been in this game. This next one is pretty simple, and I actually picked N64 Frappe Snowland. Why I picked this track, you may ask? Well, there is basically nothing in between DK Pass and Starview Peak. There's just nothing there but a ski resort. And Frappe Snowland would be the perfect filler for that because as you can see in this gameplay footage, it's just a barren snow wasteland. I mean, heck, it doesn't even need to be a wasteland. They could add more giant character snowmans or even a bunch of log cabins to make a little town in there. And you can't even have Frappe Snowland without snowmen, so you already got those in there too. Also, the giant walls at the end of the track would be absolutely amazing for wall riding, and we all know it. And once again, it would be awesome to drive around this track in free roam. Because whenever I would play this track, I would just wonder what was outside of the track. And now I can finally find out what is out there with Mario Kart World if it was in this game. So as you can tell, this track is more of a filler. And honestly, it would be great to have this track even if it is a filler. So I think it has to go in my top 5. And for our final track, we conveniently have the final tour track that didn't make it into the booster course pass, and that is Pirahna Plant Pipeline. This track is also pretty easy to place. It can go on a cliff, mainly by Dino Jungle because it's kind of like a jungle area. And yes, I already know I put Pirahna Plant Cove in this list, but I think Pipeline is so much more different than Cove, so I think it's fine to be here. Now let's talk about the actual track, and I think this track would be amazing with Mario Kart World's physics. And heck, this track could make a bunch of good intermissions too, if you think about it. For example, say you're driving from Dino Jungle and you're actually going off the cliff it's on, but you take a glider and go through one of the pipes. And that would be pretty neat because you're already doing like half of the course right before you actually do the whole thing. And also in free roam, we could actually interpret this track as like the Mushroom Kingdom sewers. And that's really cool to think about because then we know where all the waste goes in Mario Kart World. Maybe that's not cool to think about, but you know what I'm talking about. And it would all just end up at Pirahna Plant Pipeline and shoot out into the ocean. It's a pretty good conclusion to all the waste. And heck, it's even being used to race on, which is nice. But with that all said, Pirahna Plant Pipeline is the last tour track that needs to get a remake, and that's one of the main factors of why I picked this. But like I said before, this would be an awesome add-on to Mario Kart World because you know where all the sewer and waste goes in all the Toad houses. And those two exact reasons are the only reasons I need for Pirahna Plant Pipeline to be one of the tracks in my top 5 tracks that should have been in Mario Kart World. Well, with all those tracks out of the way, those are my top tracks that I think should have been in Mario Kart World. Some of these tracks were pretty plain, some of these tracks were pretty creative. What do you think was the best one I said today? And I will say this as many times as I need to. These tracks I really feel like should have been in this game, and it was such a missed opportunity from Nintendo. Especially Coconut Mall. I mean, Coconut Mall should have for sure been in this game day one. Like, imagine going through a whole mall, a whole sewer pipeline, in free roam. It would have been awesome. I mean, heck, even seeing the outside of Frappe Snowland finally. But with that all said again, thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe, and I will catch you all in the next one. Peace out.